think I have 4 of them. So I'll just go over, I'll go over all.
Perfect.
All right. Mayor, Council, I just have a couple updates and discussion. And Alan and I had talked, Councilmember Richards and I had talked, and we're probably gonna try to just put a update section on all the agendas, because things happen just that are just discussion items, maybe just sort of a holder. So the ISD, I've been talking to Mr. Martindale, the superintendent for GISD. They are moving forward. They have approval to sell out their surplus property. I want to say there's between 7 and 9 parcels I believe they're selling off. The parcel that the city has been interested in, that as soon as I came on board here, I knew we needed this parcel. It's the piece behind the school. So I talked to Mr. Martindale about changing it from a sealed bid, because we're a governmental entity, and he researched that and agreed with me. So they are open to selling it to the city, not as part of a sealed bid process, which, and that's great. That's what we're looking for. He's actually waiting to see the outcome of the meetings tonight. We're gonna meet after this. So that's just where that stands, but that is the parcel for parking that we could use for parking directly west of the school, behind the playground. So it's at approximately 0.98 acres. We also discussed, I had talked with a developer, and I did throw out $8 a square foot, which is a fair fee, a little higher than appraised value, but it's a fair fee. Approximately, at least at this point, there'd obviously be negotiations with council and staff, but you'd be looking roughly about $360,000 for that parcel. Bounds Road repairs by Grayson County. So although Precinct 3 did turn us down for an ILA for maintenance, we had a guardrail on the bridge, the northmost bridge, northmost, right? Northmost bridge, southmost, okay. On Bounds Road, a driver went through it and broke the guardrail off, and it was highly dangerous. And so we did reach out to Grayson County, because we could not abandon that. Just to show you how it usually goes here, you barricade something like that. We barricaded it. People just move the barricades.
They do.
They just move them. So one of the young men that worked for me just parked the mower right on the bridge. You can't drive through a large mower. It's the only thing to stop them. And then within 72 hours, even though they did not have an ILA, I talked with Grayson County, and they agreed it was a safety issue, so they came out and repaired it. There will be an ILA coming to this council for that repair, probably in the next week or so, at one of your regular meetings. But the repairs were done. Closure of College Street by Mustang on 10/30/2024. This was a closure. Mustang had a leak across College Street as you're heading farther down, heading east on College Street. And one of the things that happened was Mustang did a trench cut across the street that stopped traffic. So you couldn't cross College Street. The problem was we had a bus that had an accident. And so just to let you all know, both fire went down there, and they were, I would say, a tad upset because there was no notification, so they shut down emergency access since it was the correct route. And what I learned later was the superintendent was right behind the fire truck, and he was a little peeved as well. He could not get to the bus either. So Cameron, fire captain, has talked with Mustang, and so we are endeavoring, and we've also talked to management, but we're endeavoring to have monthly meetings with Mustang, because we feel it's more efficient to talk with the boots on the ground around here, because there is some communication process. This is a process, but in some ways that highlighted the problems with the process, because if you potentially could have had something much worse occur and the fire could not have reached it. So just to let you know, we had multiple residents complain about that as well.
It's not the only time either, because our firefighters were completely without water, no notification.
That is correct.
And they're showering with water bottles out front. It's
Yes.
absolutely unacceptable. So they have got to start letting us know what's happening in our city.
Yes, and the school had talked about that with me as well. School requirements are is if they lose water for more than 2 hours, the school has to shut down from a safety standpoint.
Right.
So I think this sort of maybe cause a little coalescing that we're all gonna be talking to each other a little more, because that was sort of a big deal. It could have been a much bigger deal. The last one is just a little, on a high note, we did, although I tried to get out of it, but the park board chair, Holly, just wanted to, I proposed it, so it was my own fault. Halloween decorating, then I decided we didn't have enough time. She decided we did. So we did do Halloween judging, that Monday of Halloween, or the Monday before, and we drove through the entire city of Gunter and even part of the ETJ. We gave out plaques, put it on the website, Facebook, and gave out awards for put in people's yards for first, second, third place. And it was everybody. Huh?
I didn't see any photos, and then I didn't get to drive by the properties to see, because I would have loved to see them, because.
We posted on Facebook which properties won.
I know, but.
No photos.
Photos would have
I
helped,
know.
Adam.
I know. Well,
Because I didn't get a chance, and I'm sure they're gone now, but I want to see who beat the Atkinsons.
it was.
Right, they didn't even place the top three.
It was
I'm
their
like,
neighbor.
wow.
It was their neighbor 100 feet away, or.
Oh yeah, that one was really.
Yeah, it was their neighbor, right? From
Really?
next year, we'll have a little more time. This was put together.
Right.
We are doing Christmas lighting. And so we're gonna do Christmas lighting judging. If council, if you have any thoughts about that, please reach out to us. We'll use a similar format. We'll have pictures. And Don Anderson from EDC, I went to their house the other day, and they're donating various lighting fixtures for the park. So we're gonna try to do a community effort to get some lights in the park. I've also hired somebody that's done lightings before, just to light the fencing. So we're looking for that, and that'll probably start literally next week or so. We'll start moving forward on that, but we'll have a little more time. Judging events like that, it's really great because it produces a lot of good community spirit, and then you do want to increase that competition. So this is year one, but I think the Christmas we'll pull it off a little more effectively than we did Halloween, but it was still a lot of fun.
I think it'll be tougher, because a lot of people.
Yes,
They're already
yes,
ready.
yes. We did learn. We may change things up a little bit, because when you the bridges, until another neighborhood comes on, the bridges is always going to be hard to beat for Halloween, because it's a trick-or-treat sidewalk neighborhood.
Right.
But, so we've come up with ideas. I told them where I came from before. We did things like small community, large community. You come up with some different categories to give other people a shot. So anyway, so positive event, although we failed on the picture taking. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, and so I do have, well, it was like 2 comments, but Vanessa wanted to speak on one of the items on this one, so go ahead, name and address for the record.
Yeah, Vanessa under 1921 Bledsoe Road. So on the topic of College Street, so on that day I went to drive home and realized that I couldn't get down College. They didn't have a sign even like at Preston, and I called Adam and let Adam know, and I personally took me about 6-7 minutes. I live on Bledsoe, right where the bus accident was. It was about, I don't know, maybe 6 houses down from mine. So it took me about 6 minutes to turn around and go. Now I know the fire department, the police, they got their sirens, they could get there a little bit faster, but just this goes for anyone, but for us in the county, we're already at a disadvantage in the event of an emergency. And the fact that Mustang just thinks that they can just go and shut down roads in our town, there's only a couple ways to get into where we live. And to take an alternate route is significant. It's not like you just go 1 block down and you go another thing. And even that is unacceptable in the event of an emergency. And I don't know what we're gonna do about Mustang. I like Adam's idea, but with all due respect, I'm not really sure it's going to help a lot. There's gotta be some sort of penalty when they do these type of things to our town. And we really need to, like, yes, we should partner, but they're not partnering. So when they don't partner, we need to find a way to penalize. We cannot have our citizens at the mercy, especially in emergency situations, for them to just do whatever they want. Yeah, and then the one thing I did want to ask is, Adam, I did notify you that there was an outage on the road. And what didn't happen after that is there wasn't a notification put on the city page. And so, yes, there was a sign, but that still doesn't help. I mean, we got to get the message out there when these roads get shut down, however we can. So that's just one thing I'd like to ask, that let's get them notifying us, number one. Number two, let's then notify our community. And I will just attest to what Adam said. I happened to drive by and ask the fire chief, hey, were you guys aware that college was shut down? And he said no, and he was not a happy camper, and neither were the parents who were coming to come find their kids. They're already very distraught, and now they're finding out that they can't get to their kids the one way that they were gonna go. So anyways, that's just, I wanted to share that perspective as a citizen.
Don Anderson, 102 Falls Creek Lane.
On my side, it's kind of like a code red, to where I can go into our website, and everyone that is signed up, when I click it, then it dings, kind of like when I'm posting the agenda.
And I've got access now too, because, you know, obviously our web person is not available 24/7 and that quickly, so we've got to be able to do that as well, so.
Apologize, Dawn, sorry. I'll
Not a
just try to
problem.
finish that thought.
I mean, there's a possibility that you could use an email system that both Mustang and the city can tie into, so if that happens, they can automatically notify everybody, so.
Well, we can even to where we put, what they call the ticker across the top. When you pull up, it goes across, and then I can send it out, and we also have code red through Grayson County,
So we need,
But if it happens
first of
at
all,
2
we
o'clock
need
in
to
the morning,
We have to notify
Have to
the
notify
number,
first.
share that information.
Yeah.
And that's the second major event in a month, like in the last 2 to 3 weeks, where they just do something, we have no warning, we don't know, they don't communicate with us, and it's a big deal.
Well, it's even more than that though. I mean, the water is like constantly getting shut off.
And they don't know.
Well, my house flooded because of Mustang.
Yeah.
It's true.
They turned up the water pressure and it blew out the line, one of the lines in my house, and I came home, there's water flowing out my front door, and
And then block the drive, and we couldn't get in.
And they block the
I guess
drive,
we need
like,
Larry with him that
nonstop.
you might own the water, but you don't own
It
the
was
city.
it happened tonight, whoever they had out here, I couldn't get through. And like, he's sitting in his truck, could you move over, so, yeah, we've got some issues to work out at our meetings, so, go for it, Don.
my 3 minutes up yet?
No, 5:28.
Okay, the last item was Christmas decorating. What
Yes.
Adam didn't mention was one of the things we wanted to do when he's gonna talk to Martindale about it, is get the elementary school involved in making either the little stars or the ornaments, where all they gotta do is just put a foil on them, a gold or a silver foil, and decorate them any other way they want, that they can hang up with ribbons on the tree, so they're involved with that. And on the positive note, once I know the size of the stars and the ornaments that they need, I can recycle all these daggum political signs that we've been pulling up by cutting those out on my bandsaw, you know, to where all they gotta do is cover those, so.
That would be great. Or all of those bandit signs that we go around and collect. There's a recycle use for it, okay. Okay, so we're gonna move on to, number 3, mayor update. So what I'm planning to do is most of my updates are gonna be on third Thursday, because it's really hard to do as many meetings as we're doing like weekly lately. We have 3 weeks in a row of doing meetings. But I did wanna do this one because the command center camper is gone.
Yay!
Yeah, we were very excited about that. There was nothing we could get for it, salvage title, it was a piece of junk. It wasn't even really worth, my husband was like, yeah, it could be useful, and he's in the power sports industry, he's like, I've been saying this a long time, it's probably useful, and then I showed him, he's like, nah, it's trash. So, if he's not gonna use it for, you know, motorcycle or ATV business, and he wouldn't then, it's just not useful. But,
Yeah, we're waiting on the lost title, so I'll bring just the update to you. I reached out to Susan Mitchell, and, I told her that I have once again told her, and I confirmed with him, I cannot file for the lost title, it's not mine. So, she is filing for the lost title. I told her as soon as she gets it, we did find, a nonprofit organization in Houston, so we will not have to pay for it to come back, they're just gonna take it while they're down there.
yes. Do you remember the name?
I believe it's called God's Garage.
That's right, God's Garage. So what they do is they have mechanics and people who do this, they will go in and they'll refurbish it. It's right there in Houston, we don't have to pay anybody to, you know, to come pick it up. We don't have to do anything, they will pick it up and they take care of, single moms, abused moms,
Veterans,
women who, and veteran women who need very excited about.
They are very
Yes.
excited.
And Bethany actually found
She
them.
did.
So Bethany in our office, that works in development, she actually found them and it turned out to be really great.
Please don't call it a
Place to
command
do
center.
it. What?
Please don't call it a command center.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. And on that note, I did reach out because I'm so tired of hearing how, this was a great purchase, we should have done it, and it's crazy that we're all upset that it's not working. For the record, this Freightliner cannot be moved. It is not drivable, never was. The hood's broken, the lights are attached to the hood, so you can't drive anywhere. It's too tall, to put on a flatbed, and very costly to even try to get it here, so we are still trying to figure out what we're gonna do with it. We paid $22 for it, the person who was gonna offer $8 decided not to once they saw it. That's how bad this thing is.
And
So,
the trailer cannot connect.
yeah,
to
neither
the
can I.
tractor.
Never will,
Never
never
will.
did. Never
So I reached out to Susan about the hood being broken off, and it was the first that she'd ever heard of it.
Right,
She seems to think that it might have been done by the mechanic, who ironically is the nephew.
is the nephew. And probably, like they were saying, caught the wind or something and it popped back, it's heavy, it's gonna
So
break it.
she's
and then
supposed to,
you know.
she's supposed to address the hood.
Yeah.
I've already got a volunteer that will fly down there, see his girlfriend, and bring the truck back.
And then drive it back, yeah. So we're trying to get it fixed, then we'll figure out what to do with it. But I do wanna clarify one more thing, because this has been said a couple of times, it was said in a meeting by Cheryl. And, the night that we brought it up, and Jamie had to let us know that, look, we're not there yet, it's not something we need. She defended, said that, Sarah Summers with the county, this was a joint program, I heard that again this week. And, I'm gonna just tell you, I asked her about this is the email I got yesterday. Good afternoon, Mayor Sauer. As I previously notified members of your city council, I was contacted by Jeff Gibson. He advised that he had located equipment for purchase. I told him the equipment would be useful for local emergency services. I further advised, however, Grayson County had no funds available to make a purchase. So that's where this was left. And then of course she goes on and she says, I did explain this to the council members who contacted me afterwards. So that's the real story. That's the email. It's not something we needed. Is it useful? Yeah, maybe, but there's no funds, and we know that it would cost 6 figures to refurbish it all, and it didn't connect. So that is the truth. I'm tired of hearing about it on Facebook. If you hear that out in the ether, point them back to this meeting, because that is the truth. So the camper's gone. We donated it to a great resource, and they're gonna do good with it. And now we will get the Freightliner fixed. Alan's working on that.
Yep.
When that is complete, we'll get it here, and then you'll all come see it if you want, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do with it. Maybe with it being fixed, we can actually sell it and get something for it. So that's where we are on the command center and camper. Do y'all have any questions for me on that? Okay, we are moving on to agenda item number 4, discuss, consider, and act upon a temporary use permit for a concrete batch plant for the construction of, this is the bridges phase 2.
And this is being removed, so put it on the record,
Okay.
this is removed
We're gonna
until
continue this until
the 21st.
the 21st.
Well, it's not gonna be continued, it's being removed because this is a zoning change and it needs to go through to P and Z first.
All right, so we are removing this one.
Yes,
It
and
is gone.
changing the process for
Right.
handling it.
Completely bring it back later. Okay.
Yeah.
Completely different. Okay, so number 5, discuss, consider, and act upon, the presentation by the Gunter Parks Foundation, requesting naming rights and other creative input for the purpose of fundraising, for the future grant pavilion. So, see Nancy out there are
Going on
you
this one.
presenting?
What's the next one?
Okay, perfect, awesome.
Y'all probably know Nancy Neville, so
Yes.
she is the president of the Gunter Parks Foundation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council.
Yes.
I don't know how much you know about the history. I'm gonna give you a very quick history lesson about Gunter Parks Foundation. We were founded in 2014 as a 501c3, and our mission is really to advocate for improvements to the park and then go out and raise the money to make those improvements happen. In 2016, we chose to build a playground as our first project, and we organized and coordinated about a little over 700 volunteers to build the playground. It was a community-built playground, very active. I don't know if any of you were even involved, were any of you involved in that process? It was an exciting time for our city to bring that many people together. But before that could happen, we had to raise $215,000. We got a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant for $75,000, but that still left us with $140,000 to raise. We set up the sponsorship levels and raised that mostly through donations and some selling of picket fences and tiles for the playground. We had two of our large sponsorship level was $25,000, and we had two donations for $25,000. One was the EDC, and the other was a memorial fund. And the rest of it was anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. But we were able to do it, and we built the playground, and we're really happy with that. And we've kind of been on hold since then. We've had our annual, up until last year, we've had our annual fundraiser, which was Touch a Truck, just raising money and putting it in the bank. I'm waiting for the city to finalize their master plan for the parks, and that was done last year. And then the pavilion was selected as the project that the city wanted to have next. So we're in the process now of working on sponsorship levels to go out and raise the funds to have this pavilion built. I wrote the grant for Texas Parks and Wildlife on behalf of the city, and we were awarded the $75,000 grant. But we still, the cost of the project's gonna be almost $200,000, or somewhere around $200,000. So we have a lot of money to raise. When the board was meeting and talking about sponsorship levels, we wondered if we could add a naming rights sponsorship to the packet. So if someone were to give us $75,000, could we name the pavilion after the donor of the $75,000? So that's why I'm here tonight, is just to see if the council is okay with us doing that. We would, if we are successful in finding someone to give us $75,000, we would bring that back to the council for your approval with who it is, and you would then be the final say.
Let's open it up for discussion. I guess it depends on who it is.
I like the idea, but I'm scared that we all know some industries might want to donate that and then bring it back to the council, and then we're like, well, we don't want that name on the pavilion. That's my only thing.
Puts us in a bad spot.
Yeah.
No corporate names, and in other words, it's strictly an individual name.
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that would be my fear, is that. So, but I like the idea. I encourage the idea.
I think personally, $75,000 donation to the city, I mean, unless it's, you know, out to the Wild Saloon, I'm kind of okay with that. Right?
You're gonna make me snort again.
I did that for you. To try to get her to, I can get the giggles, or William, you know?
He doesn't have.
He gets the giggles with that one. So I'm thinking there should be some limits, possibly family-friendly type stuff, but as far as like the industry or a particular company's name, I don't know why we would not be okay with anybody who wanted to put that kind of money into our city.
And it's not naming the park. So the pavilion would have a sign,
It's
but
just the pavilion.
it's just the pavilion.
Yes, it's still our.
You know, so
city
it wouldn't,
park, right.
it-
So,
I agree with Wade, I think it's a great idea,
what?
encourage it, but like to see what it is when it gets here.
Well,
Their last name.
Keep the name sealed.
Well, we don't want that.
Well, the board actually, we're the ones that are going out and
Fine.
asking for this money, so I guess if there are businesses that you do not want us to pursue, we we could do that, and then just not ask them for it. I don't know who those businesses might be.
Anything in the industrial type stuff.
I mean, $75,000 is $75,000.
I kind of feel that way too. Dave said, for those who can't hear, $75,000 is $75,000. You know, I personally don't have an issue with anyone who wants to graciously donate $75,000 is a good thing.
$75,000 is $75,000. It can be Acme Witches. It can be Walmart.
He's not that one.
So you want the vape shop to name the pavilion?
Are they just naming the pavilion, or they get their name, like if it's, say, Kroger?
It would be the name of the business that gives $75,000, so Kroger Pavilion,
Okay.
for example.
A gold plaque, basically, on the pavilion.
It could also be an individual.
It could be an individual as well.
I mean, I'm for it, I just, like I said, I'm worried about like a couple of potential donors to put that and have a sign that says their pavilion.
Let me ask the five of you this. Is there anybody, any one of you that feels like you would really want, this would be important to you, and you would want to be the person on the project to maybe work with Nancy, give some feedback as they go through this process before it comes back to us? If there's one of the five of you that feel real strongly that this matters, it might be you, Wade, it might be William, if there's one of you that would like to be a part of this project and be assigned it, that may not be a bad name. And you kind of filter that before it comes back to us, and then Nancy knows what she can work with, what sounds good, what maybe doesn't sound good.
Wait,
Would you wanna do that?
sure. It's not gonna be too much,
It's just gonna be like a plaque on
just need to
right?
let you
Just
know
would
when
be
it's said.
communication.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the two of you, and then he could give you some feedback.
Yes.
Like a big neon sign on the top of the pavilion.
Oh, there he goes, no.
And then that's another thing, we're not talking about a huge, you know, it would be a
It's
track.
just what it's gonna be cost. Yeah, so it would be used, and that's great for somebody, you know, $75,000 is a lot of money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I think for me, it's not that important, I'm okay, $75,000 is $75,000. It sounds like the same for Dave, I think, Alan, you good?
It just gets
Kinda,
started.
it depends,
It starts the precedence, just like Toyota down in Frisco is
Yeah.
at the Toyota Stadium.
right,
Oh, I'm fine with Toyota or Walmart or Kroger.
So-
But what I'm saying though is that once you name one thing, anybody can, it will start,
right.
we can't stop it.
It's just that right now, really fundraising is difficult. I mean,
It's
I know
very
you're
hard.
aware of gifts
Mhm.
and the fact that their
Yeah.
fundraiser had to be canceled. There's a lot of fundraising going on right now, so it's difficult. And we thought this might be an option for someone out there who may be willing to give that kind of money, if they could name that.
So let's do this, let's assign you Wade to work with Nancy on this. It would be more important for you to maybe have a little bit more feedback. And then if you want to reel one more person in to bounce it off of one more council member, because I would be involved, and the other three wouldn't be involved, the two of you could work on a project without any problems with open meeting violations, so let's.
And I'm on the board as well.
Yeah.
And then, of
I'm on the
course, yeah, and then Adam would be a good, good feedback too.
So I'm fine to do it. It won't, I mean, I'm not gonna get in the way of anything.
Sounds good.
You just have a voice. You know, it matters a little bit to you, so let's do that.
Okay.
Because I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
So,
All right, any other questions about?
get that thing built.
I'm excited, you guys are good.
I'm ready for yesterday.
I know. Thank you. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks a lot, Nancy.
Thank you. Okay. We are on. Item number 6, discuss consider act upon a resolution authorizing the submission of the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. So, will you, we're moving this, aren't we?
You're continuing it until next meeting.
We didn't vote, I need to know who's the first and second, so
We don't have to vote on that. Just this
this is just,
We discussed, we're not really taking any
It says
action.
act upon, discuss
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any action to
There's no
take
action,
at this point. I
right,
think the action was basically a
How do you feel about
subcommittee
this?
to,
yeah.
yeah, and
it'll
so
be
we'll,
Wade's project.
Motion and citizens requesting,
I
asking
nominate
permission
Wade.
from them for the naming.
and it wasn't granted because they're doing kind of a subcommittee.
Okay.
Yeah,
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 so,
when they come back,
So just
that's
as
when
no
we'll
action.
have to.
yeah, no action taken.
Yeah, this,
Okay.
most of these are.
My fault.
So, now, number 6, we are moving to the 14th, correct?
Correct.
And it's kind of a,
It's gonna be
as
removed
well.
as well.
Alright, so this one is removed.
Well, it's continued. It
No,
will actually come back. That
But I
one.
thought we were doing, we had to issue a brand new one where RFQs start all over,
Yeah,
so it's kind of a new.
it's
Okay.
removed as well.
okay,
It'll be in
okay.
Okay, so number 7, discuss, consider and act upon an ILA with Grayson County to perform maintenance on portions of Wall Street. Will you clarify something you said earlier? Did you say that we were denied an ILA with the county for,
Maintenance,
on,
precinct 3.
okay, that was my question.
Mayor, council, on this item right here, so we've been aware for a while that Wall Street, if anybody's driven Wall Street, which is the major thoroughfare for Ameritex,
It's bad.
the batch plants, and the direction they head is south. They go to 121 is the direction they head, they don't really go to 902, they go south. That road has some challenges to say the least. If you're going down there and a truck is on the road with you, assuming even the weather's nice, the truck usually gives to the cars, because if they didn't, the cars would have some problems. The county contacted me, about a week and a half ago or a week ago, and they're gonna come in and do what I would call some Band-Aid work, but it needs to be done. I put the map, I think there's a map attached there showing the portions that it is, and the price they quoted is for materials, the hauling and the labor, it's reasonable. Their price rates are actually gonna go up this year, probably about 40%. So they're very reasonable rates. It's $17,000 our portion, and they're doing their portions, which our portion is sort of between their portions. So, I think it's sort of incumbent personally on the city to get that done. Most of it is grading and bringing in road base, but the price is $17,000 for our portion,
I have a question.
certainly.
This is 3 also. Precinct 3?
This is precinct 3.
We need something, and the answer is no, but they need something, and they expected yes.
Well, it's our city limits.
It
Portion
is
they're
a
doing.
small portion.
Right.
They need us to connect their portions.
I
But then
can't,
when we need something, it's a no?
But, the interlocal agreement's not with precinct 3, it's with the county.
That's correct.
that's right, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, this is the county that reaches out, but it's within their precinct, but it is the county itself, that's
Okay.
correct.
Is the county commissioner from precinct 3 blocking our request for an ILA for something else?
Yes.
Or for this one?
I'm not saying, that was never said to me, they said they did not have the manpower. It was a little odd how it transpired.
As being kind. You had a conversation with him. You could
Yes.
share that or not, but we all know what the real problem is.
So we have a new county commissioner coming in January 1st. I think we can probably survive until then, but, well, but the ILA should be with the county, they shouldn't be with the commissioner, so.
It is with Grayson
We always
County.
have the opportunity to go straight to the county commissioner's court if we need an ILA. We don't have to go through precinct commissioner. So,
And then we need to do that with the others too, because this is insanity.
Right, well, this is an ILA with Grayson County, not a specific precinct.
Okay,
Good point, yeah.
that's what I wanted to clarify. Cause we can do both sides can do this, right? We can be,
It
we
would,
can do our jobs.
it was just, there's some efficiencies in us allowing them to do the work, as opposed to we'd have to bring in a private contractor to do ours.
Those commissioners don't own those barns, even though some of them think they do.
Exactly. It's getting old.
Right, so are we moving?
Okay, so do y'all have questions on this interlocal agreement then?
No, we absolutely should go forward with it, because it is more efficient to have the county do it.
It's
They're
only
better
gonna
at
be
it,
expensive
they're
too.
better at it, and
It's cost effective.
yeah.
Can you hear us, Dave?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, it sounds like, we're just getting railroaded by one of the county commissioners, but I like what William's saying, we just need
That's
to go
right.
to commissioner's court and put it out there in the square and see if we can't get some help from, since it's the county, if I understand
Yes,
correctly.
correct. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alan with the first.
For the repairs on Wall Street.
Okay, Alan with the first.
I'll second it.
William with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, so that's everyone. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Order number 8, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution adopting social media policy. We are moving this to the 14th. We have to do it the 14th, don't we? The social media policy?
Yes. No, this will be on the 21st.
Oh.
The 19th is our cutoff. We have to do it next week.
Yeah, I gotta go make myself.
Cut off.
Yes.
The state law
The
requires
rotation
was
to the
adopted
14th.
by November 9th. I'm pretty sure it's the 19th. It's either the 18th or the 19th.
So we gotta do this on the 14th with Adam.
Yes, so on November 14th, we will, adopt our social media policy. There's still some things I wanna look at. So, we are gonna open up agenda item number 9, discussion regarding the code of ethics. I've had so many people in the city ask me about this since before I was ever even elected. And Dave has also asked, so this is kind of Dave's, hey, will you put this on, let's get the discussion started. And he's going to take this project, so I wanna say that because the two of you, Alan had discussed it, the two of you need to be the only ones on it right now for open meeting purposes. You've already discussed it, y'all brought this to me, so this is gonna be yours to run with. I know that they already reached out to you, Courtney, and have something back to kind of start with, so Dave, do you wanna open this up for just thoughts, kind of moving forward, because I know we don't have anything ready yet?
Spin him around so people can see him.
And maybe put him toward the microphone. Little Dave.
But then he's staring at Deidre.
No, he's facing out. He's staring at Dawn.
No, he's looking at me.
Yeah.
But they can see him.
They can see it.
They need to see him.
Yeah.
No, so we have, what Courtney has so graciously prepared and put together for us. Alan and I are gonna spend some time reviewing that. The spirit of why we're trying to do this is in the past, there really hasn't been any accountability or recourse for any poor performance or poor action or, no checks and balances from within council for any kind of accountability. You know, if you don't have a code of ethics, it's real easy to not be ethical, and I don't want that next to my name or anybody else's name as a go forward. Neither does Alan or anyone else. So we're just wanting to have something in place where if there should be cause, or I don't want to call it disciplinary, Courtney. I don't know what the proper word would be, but if there is any kind of bad action that requires censure, we will have means by which to do that, not just with this council, but as a city and a council moving forward. And I don't know if I said that the right way, Courtney or Alan, please chime in.
Yeah, to go along with boards also, not just council, but anybody who's serving.
Right.
Guardrails, basically.
And those we support?
Once we get all of that together, we'll bring it to the council.
Yes, they're working on it. Courtney did give us kind of a basic place to start, something she had created for another city. And, I don't have it. I think you sent it just the two of them because this was their project, so you guys work on that. But for, me and Cindy and Wade and William, think about what you might want to address in a code of ethics and maybe look at other cities or, and of course, citizens too. Like, you guys have asked me a million times for something like this. We just haven't had time to get it out here yet. So now that we are doing it, now's a good time for them to either email us, call us, talk to one of us, reach out with their ideas, and then maybe even come and speak at a meeting if you haven't, if you don't want to know, you want to come to a meeting and tell us what you want in it. And we'll go from there, bring something back. We may have to do this a couple times, until we get it where we want it to be, but I agree, I think it's something that we need and moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's something you're gonna look at a couple of times. And, Alan and Dave are starting the process with, like you said, a document that our firm has used with other cities that I've tried to tailor more to Gunter. But it's a starting point, so I'm not positive it addresses everything these guys were looking for, or maybe it goes too far. So we've started the process anyway.
Right.
And,
we don't know yet.
Right.
It's just something that we know that we need to do.
Right.
So, y'all be thinking about that, so you can add to that conversation. Anything else that y'all want to mention now? Or,
Well, I guess I'm curious about what the goal of the ethics resolution or ordinance or whatever it's gonna end up being is. What happens if somebody violates the ethics? What's the repercussions? If there's no repercussions, why have it?
well, that's what Dave is saying, that he wants there to be some sort of consequences. Obviously, you cannot remove a council member except through a court system. You can't, it's not like we can enforce or fine somebody or kick you off the council or anything like that. But you can put into place some things that might deter some bad behavior in somebody knowing that, oh, I did this, my council is going to bring a censure action against me, I'm gonna be a little bit embarrassed about that. Or, citizens will have something to point to say, so-and-so on whatever council, board, commission, whatever, is doing X, Y, Z. They can somehow, file something formal with the council and we bring that to the meeting that, we decided, did this happen?
Well, and if it's something that's serious enough, it may warrant criminal charges. But before you know that, there's gotta be some sort of investigation. So it just lays out a process for, these are our ethical standards. These are the things there are certain statutory requirements, like not having financial interests and not having property interests, not having a relationship interest, and we went through all those in training. But then there are areas, of course, that the statute doesn't address, and so that's what's in this policy is,
Favoritism, nepotism, just.
Yeah, things like that, and then in the policy that I provided them, it starts with just a reprimand, and then a written reprimand, and then a censure, and then does this need to go for a more formal investigation? And
depending on the level of the violation, if it's already written in law, well, now we're gonna have a little bit of teeth to it. We're
Yeah.
actually going to move forward and do something,
right,
so.
so once they kind of clean up and get it where they think they want it, then we'll give it to everybody else, and y'all start taking a look at it and see what you want to add or change or delete or
Pick it apart.
take it apart.
I'm just cautionary about trying to close the barn
That would have prevented
They're
it.
gonna prevent what's already happened, so why bother to go down that road? And very often, you're gonna have unintended consequences. You may want somebody's wife to get a job here because she's good at what she does, and now you got some rules that you can't do it, so just be careful with what you put on there, because you may not like what you get after you got it.
So you need to bring your ideas and warnings and cautions to the next.
Yeah, it gets really tricky when you start trying to regulate morality, it just doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, William, but at the same time, if there are no guardrails and people are able to run amok and even encourage do so, and there's no consequence and no accountability, I mean, one thing that I think we need more of, not just in Gunter, but overall, governmentally, is more accountability and when people make decisions or do things that, you know, aren't on the up and up or aren't, in line with the city codes of what we're supposed to be doing ethically and how we're, carrying ourselves with this role that we've been given. And I'm okay with accountability, because I'm not worried about breaking any of the codes that we're gonna put in place. But, you know, from going to having no recourse to at least having something, I think that's better. And,
If it's aspirational, we have some guidelines, there's the things we wanna try to achieve, there's the things we wanna reach for, so we can be better people. And if we fail that, we feel like we need to publicly point out that we failed there for whatever reason, and the effect is a censure. I mean, frankly, the city council censure doesn't really amount to anything other than a public reprimand.
Public reprimand.
It doesn't stop anybody from doing anything, it doesn't take their job away, but it does let everyone know that we didn't make it to the goal we were trying to achieve. But again, I just caution anybody for trying to fix past problems, it's not gonna fix that, we can't go back in time.
Okay, so we good on this one, move forward. We're coming to Road 605, so we will, you guys think about that, bring that back to the discussion next time. We are going to move on to number 10. This is council business executive session. We do not have any new information or anything to talk about on BNSF litigation. And the Texas Ethics Commission complaints, all of the round, the last round were all dismissed. The new round of 9 have all been dismissed, I believe. Y'all should have all received dismissals except for me. So we'll talk about that another day, I just don't have the energy for it. Do y'all have any, I'm over it. Do y'all have any questions on any of these topics that you need to ask Courtney something? Or are we good without going to executive session? Okay. And we will not, alright, and then we will not need to reconvene an open session or take action on anything from the executive session, so, you guys are good? We're gonna adjourn at 6:06. Okay, so now we're gonna open up our joint.
No, don't hang, are you not staying for the next one?
We have a joint,
Are you staying for the joint?
meeting with EDC.
Sorry, the joint, are you staying for the joint with EDC?
Joint meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, joint meeting.
You're missing a hell of a party.
The what?
Are you staying for the?
You want me to continue to record before we have a hot mic incident?
Right.
Hang on, I gotta stop this.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure,
No,
okay.
I have to open that.
Talking about
Are you staying for this, yes or
Yeah.
no? Okay, thank you.
Hi Micah.
Teacher, so
Vanessa, nice to meet you.
Spencer and Micah is on our agenda, not on this agenda. So he should be set.
I've already done his own.
Oh, you done his own?
Oh, we already did it, so
It's been over there.
Wow.
Good job, teacher, good job.
We're
Not the Narrows Parkway people.
Now Christopher, we were gonna do this, I'm gonna go ahead, when I turn this on, the mayor will open up the city council meeting, and then you will open up our EDC.
Okay.
So I'll need a time from her and a time. Okay. Ready? Ready? All right, let me start.
All right, it is 6:07, we are at 105 North Fourth Street in Gunter, and this is our joint special meeting with City Council and EDC. It is November 7th at, I think I said the time, 6:07. All notices have been properly posted according to chapter 5.1, Texas Government Code. We do have a quorum for City Council except for Dave, and I'm going to turn this over to Christopher to open up for EDC.
So, we will open up the joint special meeting for the city council and EDC at 6:08. The EDC does have a quorum, full attendance, and, we're good to go.
All right, so we will, start with our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. Adam? Your word tonight.
All right. I won't tell God ditto. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all these people that have gotten together to discuss various topics in the city. Lord, we pray that you be in the midst of all these discussions. Lord, we pray for wisdom and knowledge in all things, Lord, and protection on these people, their families, and people of God are in our country. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
So we're going to open up with agenda item number 1, discussion regarding the Gunter ISD property sale. Adam, you kind of went through part of this, but does someone on EDC want to open this up or talk about this a little bit? Or do you want Adam to open this back up?
Yeah, we're walking into this topic a little bit blind unless Josh potentially has some.
Well, I need to ask first and foremost, do I need to
Okay.
recuse myself of this meeting because I'm on the board there selling these properties?
Yes, sir, you do, and you actually have to leave the room, so we'll have somebody come get you when you're finished. Thank you, and then I guess, Adam, you want to
Sure,
just give
I
us
can just
a
do a
brief summary
recap,
since they're
sure.
new?
So, originally, I had talked, when I first came here, I identified that piece of property as something that the city could use. Talked with the school, they didn't know what they were gonna do with it. Moving forward,
Adam, because most everyone wasn't here when you first discussed this, I think you need to which property?
okay, I was gonna get to, you're right, the property is the parcel .98 acres located directly west of the school, behind the school playground, up against, is that Little Elm Street or, adjacent to the park.
Next to the gym.
To the gym, yeah, I've never been to school, so the gym, okay. And, so that's a crucial piece of property that sort of I identified as necessary to really allow the park to function. It also has some abilities to eventually for the school, potentially to use again in the development of the downtown area. Eric was all over that as well. So it fills a couple needs. The school has decided to sell their surplus properties, and I met with Mr. Martindale and they said they were going to do sealed bids. I asked him at that time, I said, well, we're a governmental entity, you don't need to do sealed bids with us. And he explained he'd never sold property before, and I said, well, please check that out. We would be interested, I believe the city would be interested in that. And so he did get back with me, we met again, and he concurred that they could sell it not with a sealed bid, they could sell it to us as a governmental entity. And he asked me, I talked with one of the developers down here, and the going rate he felt was $7 to $10 a square foot. That developer said he would normally have bid on this, but he thought, really, he's like, y'all really need it more than anybody. And I did pass that information along to Mr. Martindale. I proposed $8 a square foot. The range was 7 to 10. He thought that was an equitable price. That would be approximately $360,000. And he is waiting for the outcome of the meetings tonight. But, and that's where it sits as right now. That's where it sits as far as the school, but they are moving to sell those pieces of property, and that particular one, I believe, would be utilized well by the city.
So what is the intent of this discussion? Like, what are we hoping the outcome is, so then we can like prepare our thoughts and questions?
So obviously, we do not have money saved up for this, but we do have reserves. I guess really, council, if you guys wanna maybe discuss what your thoughts are on this. Now, there's a couple of parts. There's the land itself, but then we would have to do the enhancements, right? Because then we'd have to pay it, or whatever it is that we're gonna end up doing, make all those decisions too. So I think that we were looking at the city and the EDC kind of joining together on a project overall, and then just really deciding who's going to do what part of the project.
Just before we even get into the next step, what is the intended use?
I'm sorry, parking lot.
Parking lot.
Yeah, I know the council would have to, the city sometimes is immune to certain of its own requirements. So my thoughts would be that would be an asphalt parking lot. Concrete would be very expensive.
Servicing the park.
Servicing the park
It
and
was-
the new downtown.
In the downtown areas, overflow parking, the school even, in the long-term plans on the school, there's a potential that they may eventually utilize the parking lot as well. And I did tell Mr. Martindale, I said, well, the park, its primary use would be evenings and weekends.
Yeah.
So, it would be useful for the public, and, so, yeah.
I think we would have to have some sort of like first rights to the parking, because we already have a situation right now with the park area that the school is using it during school hours, and it's putting out parents with young children who are trying to use the park, and their children are having to play with older children, and honestly, it's inappropriate, and the school kind of thinks they own the park. Already we have that situation. I don't want the school thinking that they own the parking.
Well, the school's
So-
moving.
So then what is the school gonna do then? What is their intent then if they're moving?
The school is keeping the building. They have indicated that Little Tiger Academy, the daycare center, is moving over to the school from John Carter's property off of Main Street. School administration is also moving there. And there is potential for a couple other uses than that, but they have identified that long-term, there's potential that they could eventually come back and reoccupy the school with a K-2 young childhood development type setup. That,
I mean, I just don't
that
want
is-
us
that is what
paying
they
for
told
the
me.
school's,
Right, but
infrastructure.
It would be our property. It would belong to the city.
Well, the park belongs to the city now, but the city citizens during the school day have trouble using it because the school teachers, and I'm not trying to be offensive, I mean, it is a known problem right now, so.
Yeah, they use that park instead of their own playground
Yes.
that's right behind them,
So I'm just
caged off.
bringing, I
It's
can't
going to-
see how
it's
this
going to
wouldn't
limit
become a concern
whoever-
too.
Yeah,
What's gonna limit whoever the ISD rents out to, that parking lot is not going to be their overflow.
I would say that they should put that in their lease, that is not your parking lot back there, your parking lot's right in front of the building.
Right,
Then
and
rent
they do
it.
have quite a bit of parking,
Yeah.
so from what they're doing now with Little Tiger Academy, I think they're not gonna have an issue there. It's if they come back K-2, that'll create a problem, I would imagine. Because now you're back in a school setting, you've got a lot of teachers, you've got parents who are gonna come in and do school parties, and especially K-2, lots of parents are involved. So you're gonna have, that would be a problem, potentially.
You could put signs up there that says parking lot, for, park only, and that's enforceable,
Yeah.
put a fine type on the sign, for violators or towing, whichever way you wanna do. I just recommend fine one
We
of
could
it
also.
on that part. But that's, that's that part of it. But I think part of what, actually Adam and I talked about this property a little bit, and you know, one of the things that he was suggesting is that the EDC buy the property, which means we own the property, you know, as a city and all, so eventually if it decides, you know, things change, we can sell it, or even sell it back to the city for that matter. But they would pay for all the enhancements that would have to be done, would be their share of that at the particular time.
Well, what will it, so we're looking at $360,000 to buy it approximately. How much is it gonna cost to do the infrastructure for it?
I don't have a bid on the asphalt yet. I don't have a bid.
Do we
That's,
have like an idea what
I
the
think
going
that's
rate is
irrelevant.
for us?
I think it's irrelevant right now, Vanessa, because we're like projecting the use of that for the future. And I don't know, none of us know what that is, and so I think it's, my perspective, it's just a great idea to have control of that piece of property instead of somebody else getting it. And then in the future, when we get estimates on that, we think it's exorbitant, we're gonna say, no, somebody else can handle this piece of the project.
Oh, so we think we're not gonna use it for parking, we might use it for something else, cause I thought I heard the intent is for parking.
it is.
We're looking at parking right at the moment, but in the future, you know, things change, cities grow,
Yeah.
and things change. You know, it may depend, it may become no longer necessary to be parking for the park. At which time, you know, it'll have enhanced in value, so it's an investment in the infrastructure and all.
Well, but
I understand your point now, Vanessa, so what is the timeline of that, you know, if?
We don't know.
They have not obviously gone to bid at this point. He is waiting to hear back sort of on the intentions. I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in this, but I need to throw two things out. One is, there is the possibility, I think Courtney, you probably encountered this before, if a public entity sells to another public entity, often there is a restriction that has to remain for a public use. So I would anticipate it would remain public. And another thing, I'm just telling you, it would probably remain for public use. You couldn't flip it to private. It assures that the school gives you what I'd say, not a development rate or not a high-end development rate, because it's gonna be used for public purposes. And the other thing is, when you take a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant, which was taken for the playground, you are limited in the ability to control access to something that you've used state funding for. So I'm just throwing that out because sometimes it talks about let's restrict. It's very, you're very limited what you can do restricting people with access to a public park. Like if you pull up to a park in another city and it utilizes grant funds,
They can't run it.
you get to use the park.
We get to use the park.
That particular property, you can't use it for building anything on this particular point anyway. Because of the level of it, they aren't able to put any kind of, sewer or water, connections into this area, so a parking lot's the best use for it.
So on something like this, I'm just thinking out loud, all this, it doesn't matter, I'm thinking in the sense of, it doesn't matter who owns it. The park, we're gonna add on to that park eventually, soon-ish, and there's gonna be a parking lot in that park, right? The drawing was.
If, I will say this, the parking lot that was depicted in the plan for the park, if I need to get it and show y'all real quick, the downside of that plan is, this is a superior piece of property.
Yeah.
Because the developing of that park would almost require you, the way the parking lot would be laid out, to be functional. First of all, it's a loss of field use, and you need to optimize your field use. But the second is, the way that parking lot is designed for fire to utilize it, to pull through, you almost have to acquire the parcel directly behind the park, south of the park as well.
This is the current design you're referring to?
current design.
Not including
Yes,
this property?
if this parking lot was picked up,
I'm trying to put it.
more than likely, if I need to go get the map to show y'all, but more than likely, and I don't mind, it's in my office, that existing parking lot would go down. It's really not a good parking lot. If somebody parks just the wrong direction, it
Throws off everything.
it defeats the whole parking lot. That would probably be utilized for additional recreation space, and that parking lot would go, because the parking lot across the street would better serve the park by far than the parking lot currently in the park.
So to go off of what I was going towards is, if our park that we're wanting to build does have a parking lot in there, and then it doesn't matter, and I'm talking in the sense of it doesn't matter if EDC or city owns it, we put a parking lot across the street, yay, we have ample parking. Then what happens if we get our little, there's more businesses that get put up in the other spots around there? They can use that parking as well. So it kind of benefits the city and EDC both together to say, okay, we can bring business, you got more parking that they won't have to take up on their little plaza, whatever they're gonna do out there. And then for the park, you have parking there for the people that get there early enough to their games. And then whoever showed up late, you're either on the street or parking lot across the street.
Yeah, that parking lot will support the commercial development that's already being planned.
Is
Yeah.
that the one we
Yes,
talked last week, John
yes,
Carter?
yes.
Yeah, John Carter.
It's adjacent to,
Right in there.
So-
the garden, to the pavilion.
Oh, it is, okay.
And all that.
And then, is that land also adjacent to what any of the downtown roads are gonna be? Like,
Yeah,
is it like
Yes,
next to the
Yeah.
downtown? I don't know where the parcel is, so I'm
Is it
just.
Sixth Street? Is it?
I don't know the name of the street, but it's right there by Get Fit and Gunter.
Would you mind?
Oh.
If they have,
It's right
if they
next to
explode,
it.
get
Right
more
next to
gym
it.
membership, they can use it too. They got it too.
It's right next to the gym.
Yeah, it's right there. And
Right
then
between
John
the gym
Carter's
and the
talking
park.
about developing this whole area, doing some movement downtown.
That would extend all the way to Fifth Street, that parcel?
Little Elm to Sixth
No.
Street.
Fifth.
Oh, yeah, no,
Which
not,
isn't there, but.
I don't think it,
Right.
I don't know if it goes, that's where Adam had, I don't know if it goes to Fifth Street or it would
There's
be
not, it
halfway.
does not, there's not a Fifth Street.
Line of the imaginary line of
Yeah.
Fifth Street that goes through that property is what we're talking about.
Is it going up for sale regardless of who buys it? or not?
Yes.
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 Yeah, we're just giving.
So
the
we're trying to find a
opportunity.
way for us, the
Correct.
city and EDC or Gunter to get it, not 7-Eleven.
So paving an acre of property is about 200,000.
What do we have right now in our budget, like, what do we have in our reserve, John?
We're sitting at right now, like 1.3 million.
1.3, okay.
They use tax money to buy it.
Adam, I have a couple of questions while you're searching that. So the conveyance of that property, it sounds like there may be some restrictions. I don't foresee it happening where we would dispose of that property, but what if we had to? What if we, who can we sell to? Anybody, nobody? You know, if in the future we get.
I'm not saying that restriction is in there, but it is a possibility that they could put a stipulation on it that it's a public use. They're selling it from one, because it was purchased with more than likely tax dollars, so therefore it is still needs to be a public use.
If we were to sell it later privately, then that goes away and whoever was to.
It could be, well, in other words, it could be almost like a
Deed
deed restriction where you couldn't sell it. It could be utilized by downtown, like with Eric talking about it and John Carter. They both had interest in that it would be overflow parking. I don't see a scenario, if you look at the park, where you're ever gonna not need it if that park is functioning as a park. There's no other parking. Right now, it's sort of a zoo.
And
A
there's
little
nowhere
bit.
to put it.
The next question I have is, this is an ISD issue, but my understanding is the ISD has to have an appraisal on any property to dispose of. So are you saying that because it's another entity, they don't have to get the appraisal for that piece? No, they don't have to.
That is right. That is totally their decision because it's going to another governmental entity.
Could, I know it's a park, we're planning to use it as a parking lot, could we also use it on the weekends for like a farmer's market type of thing?
Yeah.
Cause right now,
See, why not?
our farmer's market wasn't successful this last year because they didn't have a good spot to put it. And
Yeah,
with
she
all the
moved from
rain,
there.
they couldn't be like out in mud, and so,
Food truck Friday.
Yeah, I don't see.
okay, so we could like use it to like set up different events in the parking lot.
Just small little bit.
I mean, people right now are used to parking on the side of the road that has no sidewalk anyways. So I mean, if we had a food truck Friday or a market there or.
Or they could park in the school parking lot and then walk through the park and go to that area too,
Or we're talking about bringing in some kind of entertainers and stuff like that, concerts in the park, we
It's always
can
good to have impervious surface at the park because it changes everything.
Cause right now, people are just gonna park there regardless within the grass and not know, cause it just looks like a vacant lot, so.
Is there any issue with drainage there? Like, have we had, I know we haven't had our drainage study yet, but I mean, does anyone historically know, has it been flooding there?
The school itself has had issues with drainage. The school, and
The
this is.
school property.
Right.
We don't know really
And
about that.
this is just a little bit higher than.
The only thing I've ever seen,
Yes, that property has had
yeah,
It has to be built up.
Right.
Yeah, they'll have to put a little layer, cause the only thing I've seen is right there on Sixth and Elm, when it rains, right there on the concrete, it's a small pond right there, and I don't know how many, it's been years since I've had to go
Yeah,
there.
that's the reason why they can't put sewer and water in there,
Yeah.
because it is in a low area.
Yeah, it's in a
Like I
little
said,
dip
You'll have to
area.
build it up.
Yeah, so they would have to put some.
Which would be ideal for asphalt anyway, you want to have, do a concrete surround, because where asphalt breaks apart is when it's on an open edge. If we do concrete all the way around, basically a curve, then you're able to elevate the parking and keep the asphalt deteriorating.
I'll do it here.
Yeah, thanks.
So, and unfortunately, the gentlemen, when they designed this, they treat everything in, but the parking lot goes like this. So the parcel we're looking at is right here. It's this piece right here.
Now, the question we had while you were gone is, does it go all the way to the imaginary Fifth Street or half of it?
No, there's another property owner right here.
Okay,
Yeah, on that side.
Yeah, the piece is just right here.
yeah, it's just that little spot.
And so you're right next to the park. This parking lot, see, this is a fire lane. So it wraps around, goes behind the baseball fields. Well, if you know what the baseball fields look like behind it, to acquire this as a fire lane, you probably actually need a piece of this property right here. So, and this utilizes a lot of park space. So it really is a multifunctional parking lot. The only improvement I see anyway in the future of this parking lot is you may want to light it at some point. There may be lights in the future if you had it as a parking lot, because the downtown area would function a little differently. But like I said, with this here, you could replace, and from a cost standpoint, you wouldn't have to build parking lots within the park, so you get more functionality out of the park. And right now, Gunter is pretty much an eggs in one basket type setup. You've got to get as much functionality as you can get out of this park.
So we already own all that land.
13 acres is this.
How
right
much
here.
of it is already developed? All of that?
So that the big baseball.
This,
To the baseball
this
field?
is here,
Okay.
and you have a playground. I
Okay.
mean, that is the extent of it.
And then where's John Carter building this pavilion and restaurant, et cetera? Where's that?
Across the street where Fifth Street.
He's right over here.
Okay,
He just purchased this parcel right back here.
okay.
So yes, and this is what you call Wellness Row.
Yeah. I was gonna
Where?
say,
Wellness Row is right here.
Oh, okay.
So potentially this will all be developed.
Yeah.
But this parking lot, that's why I said it will eventually serve the downtown, I mean,
Which is good, because it will serve those businesses very
Yeah,
well.
well, yeah.
It will help a lot.
Well, there's also gonna be
People out
a gardening pavilion
walking and meeting each other.
Yeah, he
as
wants to
they're
make it like a downtown
Yeah.
or like a salon.
Yeah.
Right,
When,
right.
so if the EDC bought the land and then the city did the improvements to the creek, like, do you guys have the money now to do that, or are we gonna have to wait some long? Cause I mean, I thought you guys were broke, so I'm just
I
trying.
mean, we've got money in reserves, but it's probably a little more, learned at TML, we have a little more than what most cities do. We're also very small, we don't have ways to hurry up and get money if we mess something up too, so, no, we have some resources, we'll get our streets fund back. We do have a lot of funds also that we're gonna be able to transfer over to streets, which is good. This is left over from water, when we sold the water and all that, so, we've got some weird funds that are just, like, what are they sitting there for?
I guess I'm just
Franchise fees,
I'm a
things
little
like
bit
that.
confused, cause we just had an EDC meeting, like, 2 EDC meetings ago, where the city didn't have a single penny to work up for the drainage. But now,
We could, and we would have, but it made sense for EDC to help us there, so that we could do more over here with drainage, cause we're
Once the
gonna
study
have to do.
I don't recall that
What-
being the messaging, but.
Once the study comes through, somebody's gotta pay for the actual improvements
But then we
based on
gotta
that
start
report.
improving, yeah, so we just
So-
needed help getting,
The information, we wanted AEDC to
The
give
study.
us the information to know where we have to put our priority and our money in the
Absolutely.
city to fix those problems that study comes up with.
right,
and you're a B, I'll say that, you're a B, so parks, it's the studies show that there's a direct economic impact from parks. And this parking lot actually functions both from a business development and a park development. So, just throwing that out, because you're a B, which is different than an A.
Well, what is everyone thinking? Like, where's everyone's head at? What other questions do people have?
but, very least.
You know, part of our job is infrastructure, and this fits into the infrastructure. And there's something else that the EDC will have to consider also. On a ISD property for sale, they have a bunch of irregular shaped, non-accessible land that's also for sale. It's located over by the Dollar General. It's on the back half of that lot. That's why it's so weird and all on that part of it.
The school district owns that?
Say
You
again?
said the school district owns that?
Yes.
It backs right up
And that's
against the
part of the
railroad
property they're trying
tracks.
to sell too.
It
Now,
backs
that-
right up against the railroad tracks, and there's, when you go down Autry and go through the loop, there's actually 2 roadways to get to it. Like they were
Yeah, I would
planning
rather-
on having a school there, but it was gonna be up against the railroad tracks, and how,
So safe.
you can you can disturb the classes just based on the work, but they have the property.
Well,
There
I'd
is road
rather
access.
like be putting our dollars into creating a downtown area with businesses versus buying some random lot over by
Right.
the railroad
This
track.
was
not
or
a
railroad
random
guide.
lot.
There's
Of
a
all of
reason.
them, that's the
One of the
makes
things
most
that I think
sense.
we need to look at is whether or not we can get all of those, because I don't think we need to pay $8 a square foot, because it's not as accessible as what this lot is here. We can get that, so we can then plat it into one single part. The front half of that property is already a single plat, but it's too shallow for a commercial enterprise to go into that, because they need to have their building in the back and have their, parking in the front. If we took over the back part, we've got negotiating for getting say, a Brookshire's in or whatever, just another business in, that would then take over that. You'd have in the front their parking, they would have their, main building.
And they could
Okay, so
lease it from the EDC and give you.
And then they buy it from us,
Or just lease it.
Lease it.
So are we like trying to make a decision on both of these things
No,
right now, or that's
no,
like your
no, no.
team? Okay, you're just
No,
gonna
I'm
mention,
just
it's
bringing
like,
this
oh,
up
what,
to your
like,
attention.
getting a little
The
murky.
door is open to get properties that are available from the ISD is the main reason for the discussion, so it's not just always look at one.
Yeah, yeah.
There are other ones to look at or consider.
What's the long-term solution for parking for this park though? Cause if we buy this property and it turns into a parking lot, it's stuck as a parking lot.
It's stuck as a parking lot.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
will
we'll
be
be
the
a
long term.
parking lot.
As they get
This
more land
is
This will
to the west,
Parking lot for
then they can increase more parking spots in there.
But the reason
But
it
I
makes
guess-
sense is because it does connect
Correct.
To where
businesses,
will
to be able to have businesses, it's gonna promote the
I kind
business,
of
and that's
think of
why
it
we're bringing this.
It's like downtown Salina has that lot that's over there by, and everybody parks like overflow parking when you can't, there's no spots in the downtown
Cause they
area.
haven't built anything there yet.
So this agenda item is a discussion only, are we not being asked to take action on this right now?
It's just a discussion, and then you guys can put it on your agenda if you are thinking that that's what you wanna do. We just wanna know, because it's a critical piece of property. And it would help if you guys helped us with this project, if, we've gotta figure out a way to do it though, because we're not gonna get, when this one's gone, there's really nothing left to solve the problem.
Well, when do we need to make a decision by?
I
It sounds
think
like
the
they wanna
school
sell it.
wants to know, I'm supposed to reach out to him tomorrow after this meeting, just to find out if, they haven't put them out yet for bid. But they could, I'm just saying, I'm thinking the way they could do, they would hold this one back, because it doesn't have to be bid with the other ones.
Right.
So I think they're looking to see if the general thought process is
Positive,
that
negative.
positive, that you're amenable to it. They actually don't even know the funding mechanism. They want to know if it was the city. I did mention the EDC to him, but I said that's all I can do is mention those are the two. I only know 2 funding streams. Yes.
So Adam, I would say from what I'm hearing is we're all extremely interested in this and even additionally funding the whole purchase. And I think that, it'd be just nice to know, are we $8 a foot, or are we $7.28, whatever it is? And also restrictions that we can take action
Okay.
in the next meeting.
Yeah,
We
Yeah,
can
and I would
discuss
think
it
if there's
next
more
meeting.
restrictions, then we should be exploring a lower cost per square foot.
I think the EDC is receptive to consider it, I think we're aligned. We will need to know fairly quickly, because we'll have to create a special meeting potentially to make a decision on it.
Okay.
So
To Melissa's
Yeah, but this
point,
I assume it's time sensitive to some degree.
I'm sure the ISD's needing their money, and they want
Yeah.
something sent,
So,
you know. But this is just a discussion, there's no action item on that at this point, but yes, it sounds like we're all interested.
And they have to follow the same guidelines that cities follow. So even at the point they do that, they're gonna have to advertise in the paper the 2-week period, so this can't happen tomorrow on their side either. So just to let you know
Sale's gonna
that.
end tonight.
So, yeah, so Adam, you're gonna go get more information, and once you have more information, you're gonna let us know so that we can. set
I'll
up
be
a
at your
meeting.
next meeting, and,
you don't think anything needs to happen prior to a month from now?
I'm gonna talk to him.
Okay. Well,
Is there Thanksgiving?
We can always do a special meeting if necessary, if we have
we'll do
to.
it, we'll do a special meeting on Thanksgiving.
No.
Hey, Adam, why don't you connect Luke Christopher in the conversations?
Okay. That'd be great.
And that way he's copied and he's on top of it, so.
Okay.
Since he's talking to Martindale, you know, after this meeting, can we let him maybe tell Martindale that we, the EDC, may be interested in those other lots? Not confirming that we are.
Like
I
to see
don't
what
know.
they
just
have.
I
so that
mean,
they
I'd
don't
like
put
to
it-
maybe know information, I don't know
I would like to see what they
if
have.
there's information.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to exploring it, you know, but.
I mean, we just wanna make certain they don't go putting it on a sealed bid right away. If they'll give us a grace period to decide whether we're interested or not.
First right to refusal.
Yeah, I think
You know,
what I
first
can
right
do
of
is,
refusal.
I'll talk with you, I'll talk with Martindale, and maybe we can set up a meeting or something.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
When they just throw that land in.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's
This
like,
is a bonus?
yeah.
That's right, that's right.
I wanna get
They're gonna
one.
have trouble doing it.
Don't you think one of that's, I wanna get one?
Yeah, let's do that,
Logo?
Matt, maybe we need to put you on this one and not Chris.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's move on to item number 2, discuss and consider action upon authorizing EDC to refinance the local marketplace. So this one, for council, I talked with Christopher Monessa. They want you to know what they're doing. I do not believe that they need our authorization, but I was very happy that they wanted to bring this to our attention that, you know, anything under 10,000, they don't have to ask us, they can go do it. But they are making some changes to that agreement, so I will let you guys explain to council what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll just, at the high level, and then I'll let Don fill in the
Yeah.
blanks. The high level is that we had a merchant that had an existing loan, USD loan, that she had come back and asked for more capital. We were basically refinancing. So the net result is 3,000 and change, extending back out to her, but I'll let Don fill in the.
So Josh can come back in.
Yeah, Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
good
Yeah.
Why?
Who's
Josh? John's out there going, what is going on?
He's just listening to the thunder and
I mean, he's sitting right here like I can't.
It's like, boy,
Good catch.
he's just watching the storm come clear.
And say, we forgot about you for a second.
Oh, we do.
Nat didn't.
We love you, Josh.
Nat got you back.
So we-
Now let's do two.
Okay.
Yeah, basically what it boils down to is that we went ahead and, just figured out how much that they had difference from what that they paid, and we went back to that 10,000, we started the new process over for them on that one. You know, they've got a good payment history, so we weren't, really concerned with that. There was a lot of ideas that was brought up that, were on kind of a self-help, for the person to kind of help them improve their business and all. So they were giving them ideas, and they've been implementing some of those already. So it's, what we did was to kind of help develop this business.
And the newest agreement too also adds collateral to the agreement, which the first one did not, so.
Which it did
There's
before.
a little bit of recourse, yeah.
It's a great business, if y'all haven't been in there.
I don't know why more people aren't going in there.
They have fresh bread, sourdough bread every Friday morning.
Yeah.
Good steak.
Delicious. Good
So-
steaks.
I just have a question on this since we're on this topic. I mean, I think that obviously she needs it, so, is this something where we're gonna like take it to Victoria like in the next week to write up the performance contract and be able to issue it to her? Like, what are we thinking in terms of timing for issuing the loan?
Well, the contract should already you know, it should already be underway, because we approved doing this. Have you talked to Victoria yet,
Very quickly, she doesn't have the details of collateral and things like that, so I'll
Okay.
leave you in on,
You want me to find out that information and get it to her then?
yeah.
Okay, I can do that. The amortization schedule, we're looking at first payment to be, in December first. She made a payment already after we had done this, so actually her first payment that she will be required then will be, our next payment will be February, first on that. It's the same amount, you know, so it's not an increase in payment that she has to do. And I'll get with Victoria, we'll get that part of it, get a signature on it, from Chris and from her, agreeing to that, and I'll provide her an amortization schedule so that she's got something to go through from there.
And we have all the bank account now stuff set up that you're able to,
I can't go
Right.
in, I can't
who
go in
writes the
and do
check,
stuff, no.
actually, who does that? Learning
Deidre
opportunity
does.
for us, Deidre does,
Yes.
okay, got it,
The boss.
the boss, she is not,
So right now,
Based
everything's
on-
in one account, and then it's broken down,
Yeah.
she splits that up.
got it,
Based on the election, an account has to be opened.
That we've gotta figure out how to do that, we will not get any funding until June, so I think we've got plenty of time, which is good, because we like having you on board.
aw, thanks.
We do. So I mean, if you guys have any other questions about this?
No.
Anyone?
To answer your question on accounts, Deidre and I have been talking about whether or not we get the same program that they've got, but we have it separate for us, especially as we go into the MDD,
Yeah.
part of it. But, at the moment, we're not doing that because there'd be a loss of information,
That's
and
fine.
we're still gathering and coordinating stuff of the nature on
Yeah,
it.
when that time comes,
But-
I'll get that to you,
Yeah.
cause it would be really good, beneficial for you all to get the same program and
Oh,
stay
yeah.
consistent with your, I mean, they will
But I
literally
mean, I would just
transfer
do
our
that when you
codes
guys
to
do the
you.
MDD, because that's really.
Yeah, Deidre and I have been working closely together,
Cool.
so.
So we're not spending your money, I promise.
I know,
Do what?
you were,
I know, but some people.
That's
It
all.
doesn't work
People.
like that.
I
yeah,
think it's awesome you guys are
keyboard
helping
warriors.
her out. We need to keep into many of these
Well, we
businesses.
wanna see the businesses succeed.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I think it's great. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
So
Hey, what's
will
this?
we-
Can I
No,
ask,
go ahead.
can I ask a question? What's the deal with the new bank? You guys know anything about that?
Texas Bank?
Texas Bank, yeah?
I don't think that's on our agenda.
Yeah, we
No.
can talk about it.
Sorry.
On the agenda.
Save it for the bonfire.
You can, if you wanna join for citizens comments, you can ask questions.
So, before we close, I just wanna say, on behalf of all of us, we've had conversations just kind of here and there when we're talking and at TML and all. We're so proud of our boards, and you guys, you're such a great team. I mean, we're so excited. Christopher, you are like on it. He's the fastest. You send an email, and he's back at you like, I got this done. Who are you? Vanessa, same thing. She, she works well with Deidre. You're on top of it. I think I got something to you guys this weekend, dropped the ball on something else. Was stuck in my drafts folder because I didn't get finished, and you came back, it's like, oh my God, thank you. So they're just on top of it, man. It's a good, you guys are a great team. Dawn, same thing. I see you all up here all the time. And Deidre. So it's just, y'all are engaged, great discussion, we're just so happy and proud of this team, so nice to finally see you, my God, good to meet you last time, so, I just wanna say thank you, you guys are engaged, you're doing the job, you're doing the work, and it's refreshing.
No,
It's
but I have a
nice.
staff, I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the best council boards, commissions I have had the opportunity to work with.
It's
It's just
been
the
really
communication,
nice.
the respect, it's just overwhelming. Love it.
On item number 2, we talked about what we're gonna do, but we haven't made a motion or
Oh, okay.
we gotta act on this.
So I make a motion that, Dawn works with Victoria to go ahead and to refinance and issue the loan with the amendment that we talked about around collateral.
Second.
Okay.
Or third.
Right?
The council doesn't need to chime in. We've already approved it in our own EDC
Yeah.
meeting.
We appreciate appreciate
All
you
in
guys
favor?
bringing it to us. We just didn't necessarily need to approve it, but it's nice that we're working together this way and that you guys are keeping us in the loop. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, on the council side, we decided we're just gonna put no action required,
Right,
and then I'll come back and I'll put theirs.
yes.
But you're taking a note.
I'm taking all the notes, and then when I come back in the
You
May.
like the
I
you like the joint
Joint
meeting?
meeting, let's go.
You don't want another job?
I might need a job if we, Boeing doesn't get it together soon.
So if we are finished, I will let you guys close first and I will wrap it up.
The joint meeting between the city council and the EDC on Thursday, November 7th, it started at 6-ish, is now adjourned at 6:48.
And the city will adjourn at 6:48 as well.
Good night, Gunter.
Okay, so real quick for y'all, do you want to remain where you're
Yes,
at, or do you want me to move your stuff over?
Yeah, we wanna make it as fast as possible.
Then give me just a second, let me get your stuff put together.